Throughout history, countless religious artifacts of immense spiritual and historical significance have vanished from the world stage, leaving behind only tantalizing clues and fervent searches. These sacred objects, once revered by millions and central to faith traditions spanning millennia, continue to captivate archaeologists, historians, treasure hunters, and believers alike. Their disappearance has spawned countless expeditions, theories, and legends, yet they remain frustratingly elusive. Here are the 10 most significant lost religious artifacts that scholars and adventurers are still desperately trying to locate. 10. The Ring of Solomon. According to Islamic, Jewish, and Christian traditions, King Solomon possessed a magical ring that granted him extraordinary powers, including the ability to command demons, speak with animals, and control the elements. Known in Arabic as the Khatam Suleiman, this legendary artifact was said to bear the seal of God and served as the source of Solomon's legendary wisdom and supernatural abilities. The ring's disappearance is shrouded in mystery, with various accounts suggesting it was lost when Solomon temporarily fell from divine favor or was stolen by rebellious spirits. Medieval texts describe the ring as being made of brass and iron, inscribed with the true name of God in Hebrew characters that would burn the tongue of anyone who dared speak them aloud. Modern searches for Solomon's ring have focused on archaeological sites throughout Israel, particularly around Jerusalem and the presumed location of Solomon's temple. Some researchers have theorized that if the ring existed, it might have been buried with other temple treasures when Jerusalem fell to the Babylonians in 586 BCE. The ring's legendary powers have made it a subject of fascination for occultists and esoteric researchers, though mainstream archaeology approaches claims about its existence with considerable skepticism. The significance of finding Solomon's ring would extend far beyond its material value. For believers, it would represent tangible proof of divine intervention in human affairs and the reality of supernatural powers described in sacred texts. Even from a purely historical perspective, such a discovery would provide unprecedented insight into ancient royal regalia and religious practices of the First Temple period. 9. The Seal of Confession. One of the most enigmatic lost artifacts in Christian history is the legendary Seal of Confession, said to have been used by the apostles and early church fathers to guarantee the absolute secrecy of confessions. This mystical object was believed to ensure that no confessor could ever reveal what was spoken in confidence, binding them with divine power to maintain sacred silence. Early church documents describe rituals where the seal would be present during confessions, somehow mystically preventing the confessor from speaking of what they heard, even under torture or threat of death. The artifact was supposedly passed down through a secret line of church officials, carefully guarded and used only in the most sensitive circumstances. The seal vanished during the tumultuous period of the Western Schism in the late 14th and early 15th centuries, when the Catholic Church was split between competing papal claims. Some theories suggest it was hidden away in a secret Vatican archive, while others propose it was smuggled out of Rome during one of the many political upheavals of the era. Alternative accounts place its disappearance during the sack of Constantinople in 1204, suggesting it might have been among the many religious artifacts scattered across Europe by crusaders. Modern searches for the Seal of Confession have focused on monastery libraries, forgotten Vatican storage chambers, and private collections of medieval artifacts. The implications of its discovery would be profound for the Catholic Church, as it would provide physical evidence for the supernatural foundations of the sacrament of confession and potentially validate the mystical powers attributed to early Christian leaders. 8. The Bones of John the Baptist. The relics of John the Baptist, particularly his complete skeletal remains, represent one of Christianity's most sought-after lost treasures. While various churches and institutions claim to possess fragments of the Baptist's bones, skull, or other remains, no complete set of authenticated relics has ever been definitively located, despite the crucial importance of John the Baptist in Christian theology as the forerunner to Jesus Christ. Historical records indicate that John's disciples retrieved his body after his execution by Herod Antipas and buried it in Samaria. Over the centuries, various claims emerged about the location of these remains. The most significant discovery occurred in 2010, when archaeologists found a reliquary box beneath a 4th century church on St. Ivan Island off the Bulgarian coast. Carbon dating suggested the bone fragments inside were from a Middle Eastern man who lived in the 1st century CE, but definitive proof of their identity remains elusive. The confusion surrounding John the Baptist's remains stems partly from the medieval practice of dividing relics among multiple churches to spread their spiritual benefits. Churches across Europe, from Amiens Cathedral in France to the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, claim to possess parts of John's body. However, these claims often conflict with historical records and each other, suggesting that many supposed relics may be inauthentic. The search for John the Baptist's complete remains continues throughout the Middle East, particularly in areas that were part of ancient Palestine and Syria. Archaeological expeditions regularly investigate early Christian burial sites, hoping to uncover evidence that might definitively identify the Baptist's bones. Such a discovery would not only be of immense religious significance, but would also provide crucial archaeological evidence about burial practices and early Christian veneration of martyrs. 5. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes. The Emerald Tablet, or Tabula Smaragdina, stands as one of the most influential yet mysteriously lost artifacts in Western esoteric tradition. This legendary stone tablet, supposedly inscribed with the fundamental principles of alchemy and Hermetic philosophy by the mythical Hermes Trismegistus, has inspired centuries of mystical and scientific inquiry, despite never being definitively located or authenticated. According to legend, the Emerald Tablet was discovered in a cave beneath the statue of Hermes, clutched in the hands of his mummified corpse. The tablet's brief but cryptic text, beginning with the famous phrase, "as above, so below," purportedly contains the secret of the prima materia and the method for creating the Philosopher's Stone. Medieval alchemists considered it the foundational document of their art, and its influence extended to Renaissance thinkers, Islamic scholars, and even early modern scientists like Isaac Newton. The tablet's physical description varies across historical accounts. Some describe it as made of emerald, others of green glass or ceramic. The text was supposedly written in Phoenician, later translated into Arabic, and then into Latin. However, no original version has ever been conclusively identified, leading many scholars to question whether the tablet ever existed as a physical object rather than a purely literary creation. Modern searches for the Emerald Tablet have focused on ancient libraries, alchemical collections, and archaeological sites associated with Hermetic traditions. Some researchers have investigated locations in Egypt connected to Thoth, the Egyptian deity often identified with Hermes Trismegistus. Others have examined medieval manuscript collections, hoping to find earlier versions of the text that might provide clues to an original tablet's location. The discovery of an authentic Emerald Tablet would revolutionize our understanding of ancient philosophy and the historical development of scientific thought. 6. The Menorah from the Second Temple. The golden menorah from the Second Temple in Jerusalem represents one of the most historically significant and actively sought religious artifacts in the world. This 7-branched candelabrum, crafted according to divine specifications given to Moses and later recreated for the Second Temple, disappeared during the Roman siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE and has been the subject of intensive searches ever since. The menorah was no ordinary religious object. According to Jewish tradition, it was made of pure gold and weighed approximately 60 kilograms. Its design was specified in minute detail in the biblical book of Exodus, with each branch, cup, and ornamental element carrying deep symbolic meaning. The menorah served as one of the most sacred objects in the temple, kept burning continuously as a symbol of divine presence and the eternal nature of God's covenant with the Jewish people. Historical accounts suggest that the menorah was among the temple treasures carried off to Rome after the destruction of Jerusalem. The Arch of Titus, still standing in Rome today, depicts Roman soldiers carrying what appears to be the menorah in their victory procession. From there, the trail becomes murky. Some theories suggest the menorah was kept in Rome until the city was sacked by the Vandals in 455 CE, after which it might have been taken to Carthage or Constantinople. Modern searches for the temple menorah have encompassed numerous locations. Vatican archives have been investigated, though church officials maintain they do not possess it. Archaeological expeditions have explored sites across the Mediterranean, from North Africa to Turkey, following various historical leads. Some researchers have focused on underwater archaeology, theorizing that the menorah might have been lost in shipwrecks during its various relocations. The discovery of the authentic temple menorah would be of immeasurable significance to Jewish people worldwide and would provide crucial archaeological evidence about Second Temple period religious practices. 5. The Staff of Moses. The rod of Moses, also known as the Staff of God, stands as one of the most powerful and symbolic artifacts in Judeo-Christian tradition. This seemingly simple shepherd's staff was transformed into an instrument of divine power, capable of parting the Red Sea, bringing forth water from rocks, and demonstrating God's authority through miraculous signs. Its disappearance from historical records has sparked centuries of speculation and searching. According to biblical accounts, Moses' staff was initially an ordinary rod used during his time as a shepherd in Midian. However, when God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, the staff became imbued with supernatural power. It transformed into a serpent before Pharaoh, initiated the 10 plagues upon Egypt, parted the Red Sea, and struck the rock at Horeb to provide water for the wandering Israelites. The staff represented the tangible manifestation of divine authority and served as proof of Moses' prophetic calling. The last definitive biblical reference to Moses' staff occurs during the Israelites' wilderness wanderings. Some traditions suggest it was placed in the Ark of the Covenant alongside the stone tablets and Aaron's rod, though this is not explicitly stated in Scripture. Alternative accounts propose that the staff was buried with Moses in his unknown grave on Mount Nebo, or that it was passed down through the line of Israelite leaders and eventually housed in Solomon's temple. Archaeological searches for Moses' staff have primarily focused on locations associated with the Exodus narrative and early Israelite history. Mount Sinai, various sites in the Sinai Peninsula, and areas around the Dead Sea have all been investigated. Some expeditions have explored cave systems in Jordan near Mount Nebo, hoping to locate Moses' burial site and the artifacts that might have been interred with him. The discovery of the authentic staff of Moses would provide unprecedented physical evidence for the Exodus account and revolutionize biblical archaeology. 4. The Crown of Thorns. The crown of thorns, pressed upon Jesus Christ's head during his crucifixion, represents one of Christianity's most poignant and sought-after relics. This symbol of suffering and redemption has been claimed by numerous churches throughout history. Yet the location of the authentic crown remains a matter of intense debate and ongoing investigation. Historical accounts of the Crown of Thorns preservation date back to the earliest Christian communities. According to tradition, the crown was rescued from Golgotha by devout followers and carefully preserved. By the 4th century, it was reportedly housed in Jerusalem, though Byzantine sources suggest it was moved to Constantinople for safekeeping during various Middle Eastern conflicts. The most famous claim to the Crown of Thorns came through King Louis IX of France, St. Louis, who acquired what he believed to be the authentic relic from the Latin emperor of Constantinople in 1238. The crown was housed in the specially constructed Sainte-Chapelle in Paris, where it remained for centuries. However, during the French Revolution, the relic disappeared, and its current whereabouts remain unknown. Some fragments allegedly saved from the original crown are held by various churches, including Notre Dame Cathedral, but their authenticity is disputed. The challenge in locating the true Crown of Thorns lies partly in the nature of the artifact itself. Unlike stone or metal objects, organic materials like thorns are highly perishable and difficult to authenticate definitively. Additionally, the medieval practice of dividing relics has resulted in numerous churches claiming to possess pieces of the crown, making it nearly impossible to trace the complete original. Modern searches for the Crown of Thorns have focused on private collections, monastery archives, and locations where Revolutionary-era artifacts might have been hidden during the French Revolution. Scientific analysis of claimed thorn fragments has provided some insights into their age and origin, but definitive identification remains elusive. The discovery of the authentic Crown of Thorns would be of immeasurable spiritual significance to Christians worldwide and would provide crucial physical evidence of the crucifixion account. 3. The True Cross. The true cross, upon which Jesus Christ was crucified, represents perhaps the most significant lost artifact in Christian history. This ultimate symbol of sacrifice and redemption has been the subject of countless searches, claims, and controversies throughout the centuries. Yet no definitively authenticated fragment has ever been confirmed through modern scientific methods. The legend of the true cross's discovery centers on Saint Helena, mother of Emperor Constantine, who allegedly found the cross during her pilgrimage to Jerusalem around 326 CE. According to tradition, the cross was divided, with portions remaining in Jerusalem, while other fragments were distributed to churches across the Christian world. By the medieval period, so many churches claimed to possess fragments of the true cross that skeptics noted there was enough wood to build a ship. This proliferation of supposed relics has made the search for authentic fragments extremely difficult. The practice of creating secondary relics by touching objects to purported true cross fragments further complicated matters, creating an exponential multiplication of claimed artifacts. Modern searches for the true cross have intensified in recent decades with the advent of advanced scientific dating and analysis techniques. Researchers have examined claimed relics using carbon dating, wood species analysis, and other forensic methods. However, the results have been largely inconclusive or contradictory. Some fragments have been dated to the appropriate time period, but determining their specific origin and connection to the crucifixion remains impossible with current technology. Modern archaeological expeditions continue to investigate sites around Jerusalem associated with the crucifixion and burial of Jesus, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Golgotha, and various caves and burial sites in the area have been extensively studied. Additionally, researchers have examined historical accounts and church records, attempting to trace the most credible lineage of true cross fragments back to their alleged source. The discovery of an authentic piece of the true cross would represent the ultimate archaeological validation of Christian faith and would undoubtedly be considered the most significant religious discovery in history. 2. The Holy Grail. The Holy Grail stands as perhaps the most legendary and obsessively sought religious artifact in Western culture. This sacred vessel, traditionally identified as either the cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper or the chalice that caught his blood during the crucifixion, has inspired countless quests, literary works, and archaeological expeditions across more than a millennium. The Grail's legend began to take shape in medieval literature, particularly through the works of Chrétien de Troyes and later Arthurian romances. However, the artifact's supposed history extends back to the earliest days of Christianity. According to various accounts, Joseph of Arimathea, who provided the tomb for Jesus' burial, was also the keeper of the cup used at the Last Supper. Some traditions suggest he used this same vessel to collect Christ's blood as it flowed from the cross, imbuing it with miraculous properties. The physical descriptions of the Grail vary dramatically across different sources. Some describe it as a simple wooden cup, emphasizing its humble origins and Christ's teachings about the meek inheriting the earth. Others envision an elaborate golden chalice, befitting its sacred purpose and divine associations. Still other accounts suggest it might be a bowl, platter, or even a stone with mystical properties. This variety in description has complicated search efforts and led to numerous false identifications throughout history. Countless locations have been proposed as the Grail's hiding place. Glastonbury Abbey in England has long been associated with Grail legends, partly through connections to Joseph of Arimathea and Arthurian mythology. The Cathars of southern France were rumored to have possessed the Grail, leading to searches in the ruins of Montségur and other Cathar strongholds. Spanish churches, particularly the Cathedral of Valencia and the Monastery of San Juan de la Peña, claim to house the authentic Grail, though these claims remain disputed. Modern Grail research has taken on a more scientific approach, with archaeologists and historians examining medieval manuscripts, analyzing claimed artifacts, and investigating early Christian communities in the Middle East. Some researchers have focused on tracing the historical movements of early Christian relics, following the paths that sacred objects might have taken as they were moved to safety during various persecutions and invasions. The discovery of an authentic Holy Grail would represent the ultimate validation of Christian faith and would undoubtedly be considered the archaeological find of the millennium. 1. The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant stands as the most sought-after and historically significant lost religious artifact in human history. This sacred chest, constructed according to divine specifications given to Moses on Mount Sinai, served as the earthly throne of God and the most holy object in ancient Israelite religion. Its disappearance has fueled more theories, expeditions, and passionate searches than any other religious artifact. According to biblical accounts, the ark was constructed of acacia wood and overlaid with pure gold, measuring approximately 45 inches long, 27 inches wide, and 27 inches high. Its lid, known as the mercy seat, was topped by 2 golden cherubim with outstretched wings. Inside the ark were kept the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, Aaron's rod that budded, and a pot of manna from the wilderness wanderings. The ark's power was said to be so great that unauthorized contact could result in death, and its presence could part rivers, topple city walls, and bring victory in battle. The ark's last definitive biblical mention places it in Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, where it occupied the Holy of Holies, the most sacred space in the temple. However, it mysteriously disappears from biblical accounts before the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem in 586 BCE. The Second Temple, built after the exile, notably lacked the ark, leading to various theories about its fate. The most prominent theory suggests the ark was hidden or removed before the Babylonian siege to protect it from capture. Some accounts propose it was concealed in caves beneath Jerusalem, while others suggest it was taken to Egypt or Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims to possess the Ark in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum, though independent verification has never been permitted. Other theories place the Ark everywhere from Ireland to Zimbabwe, following various migration patterns and historical connections. Archaeological searches for the Ark of the Covenant have been ongoing for centuries, intensifying dramatically in modern times. Excavations beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem have been limited due to political and religious sensitivities, but some unauthorized investigations have been attempted. The late Ron Wyatt claimed to have discovered the Ark in a cave beneath Golgotha, though his claims lack scientific verification. Other searches have focused on Ethiopia, Egypt, and various caves throughout Israel and Jordan. The significance of finding the Ark of the Covenant cannot be overstated. For Jewish people, it would represent the return of the most sacred object of their faith and potentially herald the rebuilding of the temple. For Christians, it would provide tangible proof of biblical accounts and God's covenant with humanity. For archaeologists and historians, it would offer unprecedented insight into ancient Israelite religion and craftsmanship. The Ark remains the ultimate prize in religious archaeology, continuing to inspire expeditions and capture imaginations worldwide as the search for this most holy artifact continues into the modern era.